Hey, so this is the weekly report for the higher quotient account. I'm going to quickly look through where we're at overall and then dive into what we're seeing, what we've done, and what's next. So currently we've spent $1,400. We're about 2 weeks in, 42,000 impressions, a couple hundred clicks. Cost per click is pretty low. Just to show you what we've done so far. So this is clicks. It actually started off really low. We weren't using the audience network at all, and we were just paying too much for the clicks. I think it's just that target group that we're going after. And so we started to leverage the audience network. I felt like it was too loose and it was spending too much money on the network versus on LinkedIn. So I dialed that back to something more comfortable. So we did see the number of clicks drop. It's still a vast improvement from like that first week. But this is a level that I feel good about, where it's more like 60 to 70% on LinkedIn and then 30% or so off. So it's the same kind of story with cost per click, where it was high and kind of all over the place. And then we've kind of brought it down to a pretty reasonable level. And the same with click-through rate, where it's better than it was in week one with higher click-through rate, because we're leveraging the audience network kind of to supplement. Now, if I go back here, and just to show you what I'm talking about, so if I go to breakdown, I do on versus off. We see we've spent $1,000 on LinkedIn and $350 on the audience network. So that's a proportion that I am comfortable with. That's still pretty good quality. Obviously, the majority of the clicks are coming from the audience network. So we're kind of mixing those two strategies. But I think that's the best approach for this stage. So on my last, on the first report, I said maybe we could get into retargeting early. Normally that's a month too, but because of the website traffic you already have, because of the other campaigns you've run, we did go ahead and build out a retargeting campaign. And my goal is so initially I'm just using the same creatives that we have in the cold. You add a handful in there, and we can turn these off, but I just wanted to see if I needed some ads in there just to see if we had a big enough audience to run. We do actually have retargeting ads built out, so I'll send you the link for that as well, where we start focusing on some client testimonials and some additional new creatives that we would get in front of them. But I guess one thing to point out is most of these people from the cold version, the cold campaign, they only saw one ad, usually one or two. So if they click into that and then they get hit with a more broad range of ads, that's actually not a terrible thing. But we tend to want to focus on building trust and credibility in the retargeting layer. So we will want to introduce those new creatives and turn most of these off. But I set this up mostly for the test. So it wasn't kicking in yet. I went in and I created a couple more audiences for the different single image ad retargeting, which is a new feature, I think, just in the last month. So I do think it's building right now. I do think that we will have enough. And so, yeah, I pulled in the website visitors, company page visitors, and clicks from even other campaigns. And then I put some limitations on it. Once I have an audience in here, I'll actually continue to curate that, because I'd actually want to put like decision maker status and refine it down just to the one or two industries that we're most focused on. But I wanted to leave it broad at first just to see if we had the audience, and then thin it down. That way we could at least start retargeting those initial people, and then we could dial it in. Like I'd usually start with like a year's worth of company page visitors, or 90, 180 days. And then once we know that we have enough audience in there to tighten it up, I'd continue to tighten that and improve the quality. But the best thing you can do is grab whatever audience you can that's in different retargeting pockets that fits kind of the profile, so you can get started with retargeting and then dial it in. So this is actually building. I do believe that with the new ones I created, that this should kick in, and then I'll adjust this spend. So as soon as I see that this is running, I'll adjust this spend down so that it can spend about $25 a day in the retargeting layer, depending on how much audience it shows. If it only gives us 300 or 400 people, then probably $10 or $15 is fine for now. But I'll make that shift as soon as I see it's active. And just to kind of give you an idea, like over time, this is kind of the strategy that we're building. So we just started here, and this is typically where we don't see any results. So I wouldn't be expecting, something miracles in the first 2 weeks. These are the first time they're seeing these ads, and we are just getting started with trying to build out the first retargeting layer, which would be, it's probably still just the single image that focuses on your core offering and service, which is kind of what your cold one was. But as soon as we get that audience, and as soon as it starts growing, then we can start building out these other layers. Like we already have some testimonials over here that we've built into ads. And we'll start building these other layers where as the audience grows, like once we get a couple thousand people in the retargeting audience, we can introduce text ads and spotlight ads and drive them back to the website. This is typically where we start seeing conversions. So it's not surprising to me that we're not seeing anything here. We haven't actually gotten this one live, but that would be step one. And then we would slowly build these other ones out. And this is where the conversions happen. And then over time, just so you kind of get the big idea too, is, if they don't interact with this layer, they get downgraded into like a nurture. And if they do interact with this layer, they come to the website, and they don't convert immediately, we'll build and segment a 30-day high intent campaign as well. So this is overall what we're building, but literally this section right now is all we have. So that's why we're not, seeing any conversion. We're at the beginning stages of architecting this, and we're just trying to get this one live right here. So that's where we're currently at. I think obviously we've made some progress from week one, but on the bigger scheme of, why aren't we seeing conversions? That's why we are at the very ground level of building this framework currently.